This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers Postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And the Tigers lay a big fat egg at home in a pivotal Game 3 of the ALDS. The Mariners cruise to the victory, 8-4 the final in this one, and frankly, it wasn't even that close. The Tigers get 3 garbage runs at the end, and we'll take you through this one. It is sad. There's no yelling and screaming from me, at least on this episode. Just a sad reality check of where this team is, who this team is, where it could have been, and the fruits of the labors or lack thereof rearing its ugly head when it matters most. This is who this team is. As always, your comments are welcome. Let's hear it in the comment section. Fire up that comment section. Let your voice be heard, because the Tigers are 1 game away from elimination. So that means we could, in fact, be this show and next show before our post-game shows are done. But appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, make sure you like today's video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, Locked On Tigers. And Mariners fans tuning in, have at it. Like I always say, if your team gives you the right to talk some trash, who am I to stand in the way? And I hope some comments will say something to the effect of Buddy's going through it. I know I've read those comments before, and I am a little bit. I didn't want to be proven right with my disdain for the way this Tigers team went about basically from July 31st on, but turns out I am. And I know the series isn't over yet, but today was a microcosm of the entire second half of the season. It was an example of a wasted year, in my opinion, because a window was opened. You were ahead of schedule in terms of rebuild and everything else that goes into building an organization. And Scott Harris and company elected to hoard prospects and stay the same and shop at the clearance rack and bargain bin at the trade deadline. And as a result, this team's good. They're fine. They're a ALDS team, but they're not going anywhere. And instead, us Tigers fans were left to hope and believe, and that is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Belief is not a strategy. You can ask for your fans to do that, and we have. I've bought in. You've bought in. We've done a show after every game, except for when I had a charity golf outing, and people were upset about that. But this is who this team is, and I sound like the late, great Denny Green. They are who we thought they were. They are who we thought they were. And again, I'm not going to get upset tonight. I'm more just sad. I really am, because I thought this season had a lot of potential and a lot more room for prominence and greatness and memories to be made. And instead, it's going to appear, at least, that this team is fizzling out. And I know, I took some notes, and I know I'm not getting into the specifics of this game yet. We haven't got to our biggest talking point. We will. But this team is infuriating because of the potential, but at the same time, it's our own fault I shouldn't say it like that. It's not our own fault, but I'm having the feeling of, what did you expect? And I think it was a gift to even get into the playoffs, considering how poorly this team played down the stretch. They haven't won a home game since early September, over a month. And it's just really, really depressing. I don't know how else to say it. And yes, I am going through it a little bit, but let's get into our biggest talking point, because I've got a lot more to add. We've got to get to your comments as well. It's the Locked On Tigers postcast, and it's our biggest talking point.
This is what you'll be talking about.
This team showing up lifeless for 8 innings tonight really kind of embodied what they've been over the last month. And baseball is a game of ebbs and flows. I understand that. I listened to AJ Hinch's interview this morning on 97.1 The Ticket, and you can't just, from a manager perspective, snap your fingers and say, hey guys, go get hits, go play well. But you can, in my opinion, play better than what the Tigers did tonight. McKinstry, that first run, what are we doing? Letting the cutoff go past him through the legs of Dingler, and you gift Seattle a run. Eugenio Suarez hits a bomb into the night in the Motor City at Comerica Park. An absolute no doubt about her. That's a guy that was available, but the Tigers front office didn't want to give up their precious prospects. Instead, Seattle gave up, I believe it was prospect number 12, maybe. I know it was in the teens. And they got Suarez. Needed another starter. Needed bullpen help. And that's just, again, tonight was a microcosm of what the second half of this season was. And I know there's going to be people that say, aren't you a Tigers fan? Don't you believe? Why are you so down on this team? You're a hater. And I'm not that. It's because I'm a Tigers fan. It's because I wanted so badly for this to be the year, this to be different, for once in my lifetime, for this team to go for it, to risk it all. And I shouldn't say in my lifetime, but certainly since Chris Ilitch has owned the team, and certainly since Scott Harris has been the president of baseball operations. I just for one time wanted things to go right for the Detroit Tigers and to get over the hump. And there's still one more game, or I should say, hopefully 2 more games. They're not out of it yet, but it just looks so bleak right now. But I've talked enough. Let's get into some of these comments. Bun E is up first. That was just pathetic. Demetrius McNeil, 37 strikeouts this series, and now you're down 2-1. Gonna have to win the next 2 games or clean out your lockers. Come back next game. Matter of fact, if it is the last game. We got Casey Mize going the next game. Bob K, that game was a microcosm of the second half. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Exactly what I was saying. Brit Brat 99, interesting point here. AJ should have used the pinch hitters way before the 9th. Time to bench some guys that are not performing. I don't disagree with that. I don't know what the magic lineup is. You had Kerry Carpenter hitting at the top of the lineup, 0 for 4. He's lucky he got the 1 RBI. That was a tailor-made double play. But you can't assume the double play, so it's not an error. He gets the RBI in the fielder's choice. Glaber with 2 hits in the 2-hole. Colt Keith, 0 for 3. He was pinch hit for by Jake Rogers. Riley Green, 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts. We expected that. Riley Green's been terrible. And he will tell you in his own words, nobody cares that I strike out. He's got that haughty attitude, and maybe it's just a defense mechanism or something. But, I mean, in my humble opinion, when he's been pressed as a superstar of this team would be pressed, he's kind of taken the easy way out and had this aura about him that is tough to get on board with. Spencer Torkelson's been good this series, couple of hits with men in scoring position. He had another one tonight, albeit late in the game when it was already in the balance. I mentioned Zach McKinstry's defensive lapses. Same at the plate, not great. Dylan Dingler, 1 for 3, but that's your catcher. Parker Meadows got robbed on the bunting for a base hit, turned into a sacrifice, but other than that, lifeless as well. Javi Baez, 1 for 3. So you take inventory of this team, and where's it coming from? It's just the worst possible time to fizzle out. The other thing I put in my notes is, if you see me glancing down, I've got my back to the sticky notes, which never fail. I used to do that at before every show, so I wouldn't forget anything. But the fans at Comerica Park in orange out. I mean, I said this on Twitter. Maybe I'm a Karen. I don't know. But in orange out, what at home? There's not an orange thread on the Tigers uniform. And I said this before the game, so this is not just angry, Jake, as my fiance would tell you. When the Tigers play bad, I get angry, ornery, and kind of grumpy. So I apologize for being grumpy, but I didn't get the orange out either. I don't know. Again, it's not a big deal. It doesn't contribute to the play on the field, but alas, it's just very, very frustrating. All right. Justin Lee makes a good point. Everybody at Comerica Park deserves a refund for waiting around for 3+ hours to see that. Too bad our owner hasn't done a single thing for the fans. Yeah, that was... I did have some people I knew going to the game that texted me, why would they handle the delay the way that they did? My theory is so that they could get everybody in there for 3+ hours of extra concession stand money. I actually don't know how all that works. I know it's probably a third party that runs the concession stands and all that operations and whatnot. But it's certainly, to that comment point, yeah, the Ilitch family doesn't care. They just want to make money and they don't want to spend money. We know that. And man, I know I'm kind of reeling right now, and we're 10 minutes in. I'm not following the format. I'm probably going to get talked to by the bosses at Locked On. That's okay. I love you guys. I love this team. I'm not conducting myself very well tonight, and I'm really sorry. Other notes: Jack Flaherty. We had good Flaherty in Cleveland, bad Flaherty in Detroit, and that's kind of who he's been this season. So let's continue. I'm kind of putting in the same effort that the Tigers did tonight. I guess they've taken the life out of me. I'm sad. I hoped in this team. I believed in this team. You can't say that I didn't. I just didn't agree with the philosophical approach that this team took. I think the fans deserve better from ownership. I think ownership and the front office should have to answer to the media. I don't know who will be. And again, there's still, the Tigers could win the next 2 games. It's not impossible to win 2 games in a row. And if you're clipping these comments to bookmark them and send them to Freezing Cold Takes, if the Tigers come back and win, I would gladly bear that cross, or whatever the saying is. And please put it on me. But if and when this team fizzles out and are officially eliminated, I hope a credentialed media member will ask the tough questions. And I know Jeff Rieger will. He and I talk all the time. That's a shout out to him. But I know he'll ask Scott Harris why he prioritized a single A West Michigan Whitecaps Midwest League low A championship and a series and a Erie Seawolves championship and all the farm systems without really going for it this year. Don't you think the fans in Detroit deserve better? All right. Let's do this. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and all the comments are coming in super fast. I appreciate that. Take a quick time out and have more for you on the other side of this. Tigers lose to the Mariners. Locked On Tigers postcast. 8-4 the final in this one. Don't go anywhere. We'll have our turning point and our player of the game next on Alive. Locked On Tigers postcast. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, maybe some properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your smartphone. Monarch is built for the people with busy lives, and if you put off organizing your finances, now is the time, and Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally, feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And there's the collaborative tools for you and your significant other, so you can get on the same page and start maximizing investments, increasing your savings rate, easily review finances, and so much more. It's like having your own financial advisor, helping you keep a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDON MLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDON. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing quite like catching a baseball game live, unless it's at Comerica Park after a 3-hour rain delay and the team sucks. Oh, I added that. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, unless your team's the Detroit Tigers, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage and gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time's fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I love using Game Time because the price you see is the price you pay. It's simple, but so many of their apps don't follow this concept. The fees are included. Know your total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. Say no more. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app. Ta-da! Appreciate everybody tuning into this edition of the Locked On Tigers postcast and perhaps the penultimate Locked On Tigers post-game show for 2025. Penultimate meaning second to last, one of my favorite terms in sports broadcasting, because oftentimes people think, wow, penultimate, what does that mean? And it's very simple, just second to last. So, but like I said, never say never. If I have to be on freezing cold takes and the Tigers come back and win the next two, then I will gladly wear that. All right. We've got a lot of people chiming on in, and I don't know which comment to take. So I'll do this one from R1VJ4. He's a regular. He's an everydayer. Ain't got nothing bad to say. We all know and saw. Offense can't bring out that mentality from early season. Got me shaking my head. But we here. Great year. Can't say we choked when Seattle is the better team. I don't know if I agree with all of that, but there are portions I agree with. That Seattle is the better team. And it goes back to what I've said for the last 3 months. I wish this Tigers team would have recognized the opportunity to become that much better at the trade deadline, just the way Seattle did. And it's so funny that the team that is likely going to end the Tigers season is the example I pointed to time and time again for Seattle adding a bat, getting better at the deadline. And oh, by the way, they win 17 of their last 20 games and win the American League West. And now are in the driver's seat to get to the ALCS for the first time since 2001, I believe. I don't know. But point being, Seattle went for it, and look how it turned out. And they have a great team. They really do. The Tigers do not have a great team. And they didn't try to get any better, which was the more disappointing part. Okay. Few more comments here. I want to make sure I get my everydayers in here. E. Warren, he's an everydayer. Jake, I love your passion. E. Warren, I love your passion. Braylon Dennis, that's an everydayer, says Jake. Appreciate that. Oh, in response to facts. And we had a little typo over there. Braylon Dennis, you're my guy. Appreciate you. It said facts, Jaker. I've been called Jaker before. All right. Couple more. Thomas Rotondi, he's a regular. Jack Flaherty is a head case indeed. Guy Merritt, that's a regular. Nobody's really performing. That's the problem, not consistently anyways. All right. I agree with Thomas Rotondi here, and I mentioned it earlier in the show. Riley Green has the ho-hum is what it is attitude, and I absolutely can't stand that from a competitor, and I'm with you. And that's not me turning on Riley Green. I think he's a phenomenal player, but if you want to be the superstar and face of the franchise, it's difficult to listen to somebody in front of a microphone that leads the world in strikeouts saying, no, nobody cares about my strikeouts. All right. Let's do the things. What are the things? The turning point. Here we go.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Turning point was when the Tigers decided to do an orange out when their home uniform is white with the navy Old English D. I cracked myself up. No, it's just a little thing. I saw that. It's like orange out. The road uniform has orange, but not the home uniform. But I shouldn't let it bother me as much as I did. There's far more things that are worth letting you bother you about this Detroit Tigers team, like the rain delay questions on the Jumbotron in the midst of I'm glad I wasn't there for that. No, I kid. I'm just sounding like the yelling at cloud, get off my lawn guy. And that's not good. But actual turning point, the Mariners hit home runs tonight and the Tigers did not. And this Mariners team has the ability to hit home runs. The stat they said on the broadcast, I believe 21-6 when they hit 3 or more home runs. Don't fact check me on that, but I know it's a really good record. The Mariners have a really good record when they hit home runs, but you get one from Suarez, you get one from Crawford, and then Cal Raleigh, of course, there's your 3 home runs and a big turning point in this game. How about our player of the game?
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Alrighty, Locked On Player of the Game. Pick one from the Mariners, really. I do think the home run from Suarez was such a big turning point, giving this team so much momentum in that 4th inning when they were already up to begin that 4th inning. The Tigers gave the Mariners momentum with some of their horrid play in the field defensively. Kerry Carpenter had an error. I didn't mention that one either. But fact of the matter is, this team needs a win tomorrow, and then anything can happen in a game 5. I will say that. Anything can happen, but it's bleak. And I hate to say we couldn't see this one coming, but we could, because this is who this Tigers team is. We hoped, we believed, but we didn't, as an organization, and specifically the front office, strategically make a proactive effort to be better and to be legitimate contenders. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Go Tigers. Make sure you like today's video, subscribe, check out Locked On Tigers with Scott Bentley. Maybe we can get him on for the last Tigers post-game show. And don't forget, we've got Locked On Lions squad shows on Thursdays with myself, Natalie Kerwin, and Bradford Banta. We also do the Locked On Lions post-game show. We have the Locked On Wolverines post-game show with the Locked On Wolverines with Isaiah Hull. We have the Locked On Pistons post-game show that's going to be coming up once the Pistons season resumes, I believe. I have to double check on that. But you guys know I am absolutely nutsos for Detroit sports, and it makes me crazy. That's why I am the way that I am. But appreciate everybody tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be on the air. Tigers fall to the Mariners and are now facing elimination, down 2-1 in the ALDS. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Casey Mize, the Tigers' last hope. See ya.